shrubs naturally growing in, including sweet pepper bush, low bush blueberry, and some tree saplings. And so I submitted this report to Brittany. It was from an inspection of May of this year. And we're just requesting from the commission, because the enforcement order stated that anything that dies needed to be replaced, but it's been a couple years and he has 95% of the trees still in good health and 93% of the shrubs in good health. He spent a lot of money to get all these plants in there, and he installed irrigation lines throughout the entire restoration area. He did not use them this year because of the town water ban. I spoke with Brittany about this, and apparently because it is he could have, I guess, handheld water them or done drip irrigation, so he could have used that, but he was under the impression that he could not. And despite that, the restoration area is doing very well. Mr. Kratamos is proposing to replace the 5 dead mountain laurel shrubs with 5 bayberries, as that was part of the approved plan. But he was hoping to not have to replant the one tree that died, because those are expensive. He's put a lot of money into this, and he will reseed the area next year. But we're here to request that he does not need to replant the one tree that died of the 20. And I believe the enforcement order also stated he needed to install some sort of fence or markers along the 50-foot buffer zone. But he doesn't go back there. He doesn't do anything back there. And so he was hoping to not have to install those as well. And so we were just coming before the commission to request, one, not having to plant the one tree that died, and to not need to install the markers along the 50-foot buffer zone.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions from the commission? Ellie?
I was just curious about the 50-foot buffer fence. That's not, I mean, it's a requirement, right, of the wetlands protection act.
Yeah.
It's not whether or not it's a personal decision, right?
No, it's a requirement of,
No, it's a,
A delineation.
Yeah, delineate where it is.
right.
So I don't understand his comment when you said he doesn't go back there. What does that mean? His reason for not putting up the fence?
Yeah, I specifically asked Brittany some questions about that, about the fence, about the requirement. And the idea is it's delineation. And the idea that delineation without the fence was already, let's say, violated, encroached upon. And so now this is a measure to make sure that doesn't happen again. So that sounds like a reasonable explanation to me as to why the owner would have to put in a fence. So I'll continue to listen to the commission about that.
I would argue that it's not for him, but for the landscapers and other people who are coming in and doing work. So I think it's necessary.
Okay. Bradford, any thoughts?
I would just say that I agree about the fence. I think it's necessary, especially since it was coming from an enforcement order, I believe, in the first place.
Yeah.
But I will give some leniency on needing to replace the tree. I think we can all agree we don't necessarily expect 100% survival. I want to say our regulations say like 75% over 3 years. So if 95% are fine, then I'm okay with that. But I do think that fence needs to go in.
Okay.
I was out at the site, and it was obvious that they had gone beyond that area. All the oak trees that were out there that had resprouted had been topped, all of them. So definitely there had been some disturbance in that area. So the single rail fence, it appears to be really needed to keep that delineation. And the other thing, there was mulch between all the plants, and they had asked for a wildflower mix. He had said that maybe they were going to put that in next year for the ground cover. Right now
it was originally put in, but without the irrigation. One side of the property has pretty good ground cover with herbaceous plants, but I think it's the west side is pretty barren, but I think with reseeding, with watering next year, it should do better.
Were you out there to see the toppings of all the oak trees?
I did see that. That was not there when I went out for my inspection, and I spoke with Mr. Kratamos about that. He will not do that again. And one thing about when the enforcement order response plan was approved, it was in the plan that the stumps that were regrowing would be managed, but you just to cut the suckers off so that it sort of regrew as a single stem tree, not as a bush. And that was not done, but Mr. Kratamos will have his landscaper do that because he doesn't like to look that they kind of all look like giant bushes right now. He would much rather them be trimmed so they look like a single stem tree, which was a part of the plan. So he will not top them again. I've made that, or he understands that, but he is going to have his landscaper when he reseeds next year and puts in the bayberries, trim the suckers so that those regrowing stumps grow more as trees rather than bushes.
Well, some of the toppings were in the 50-foot buffer zone, again, beyond where the new split rail fence will come to delineate the area. We saw that just a couple of days ago when we were out there, so. I don't know how we wrote it up the last time about all those oak trees, because that was what was the enforcement order in the first place.
Yeah, Paul was right about there is a note in here about stumps.
Yeah, on the approved plan, there's a note that says any
In the approved plan. I mean,
any stump proposed to be managed as oh wait, no, that's
Yeah, it showed a list at the bottom.
Was I there? Okay, down here.
Number 5? Was it
Number 5?
Sorry, no, I think it's on the plans.
Oh. Like a note in the plan, like down here? Oops. Yeah, I just saw it, but I can't zoom into it. Hold on.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, any stump not proposed to be managed as single stem trees will be left to regrow as shrubs.
So that's meaning not to do what they were planning to do.
what the stumps on that plan that are highlighted green. I don't know if you have a color plan, but the stumps that are highlighted, they're numbered on the plan. Those were proposed to be managed as single tree stems. And any stumps that were not there weren't showing signs of regrowth at the time, so those were not proposed to be managed.
You go back, please, Joe, to that,
The enforcement order?
the bottom of it.
Everyone when we were out there.
Or you want this?
Yeah, on the plan itself.
Yeah.
Any stump not, how does it
Any
propose
stump,
to be
any
managed?
stump not proposed to be managed as single stem trees will be left to regrow as shrubs.
Okay.
So that's,
Yeah,
there
and
should be
if
some that
you
are marked
scroll up,
for, yeah.
Sorry.
the green little circles on that plan are pointing to the stumps that were proposed to be managed as single tree stems.
Okay.
Because at the time, those were the ones that were regrowing. The other ones were not showing any signs of regrowth.
Okay, so, whether the exact plan, it seemed like they were all managed as shrubs.
Right.
And-
Yes.
And
Yes.
The impression I got when I was there was that, again, they were topped, and we typically see that as a problem. So I guess it would be important to review the plan and adhere to whatever the plan was regarding those trees, whether they should be single tree stems coming out of the stump, which probably would be a little difficult to do, but I guess it could be done, as opposed to the others. And then the other thing has to do with the, you mentioned the fact that the wildflower mix didn't take because, I guess, of the drought, and that would be addressed in the next planting season. Is that correct?
Yep. He will reseed the area. And I think with watering that will do much better. But as I said, the eastern side of the property has pretty good ground cover. It's the western side that is fairly bare between the the shrubs and trees.
Okay. And the final item has to do with the fence. Seems like the consensus of the commission is that fence should be put in place. Again, this is a single rail fence, I believe. It's not a big, tall fence or anything. There's a line of delineation, and so that would be the expectation of the commission. We can take up.
Okay.
And not replacing that tree?
Oh, the tree, I don't, what kind of tree is it and where is
Yeah,
it?
that's,
It's a flowering dogwood that died. 10 red maples all survived. 9 of the 10 flowering dogwoods survived, but one of them did not.
Well, I think that's okay. I don't know about anybody else, but I think we could let one go.
I think that's okay.
Yeah.
That's just,
And I have to comment that I think that you're doing a nice job on the property, so we can finish up a couple of these other items. That would be terrific.
Thank you.
I just have one question. Were there any non-natives planted in there that were supposed to be native? And you might have said this earlier, I just might have missed you.
Hang on. Yes, there was mountain laurel that was planted, and that was supposed to be bayberry. The second to last iteration of the enforcement order response plan before it was approved had mountain laurel instead of bayberry, and I believe the commission asked for that to be changed.
Okay.
But the landscaper must have been given the second to last iteration because everything was followed perfectly. It's just instead of bayberry, he put it in the mountain laurel. But those did not survive, and so that's why he's going to plant the 5 bayberries this following spring to replace. I mean, they were supposed to be planted in the first place, but to replace the mountain laurel.
Great, yeah.
mountain laurel are native though, aren't they?
Wish Brittany was here. I don't,
I'm pretty sure they are.
maybe they're just not preferred over bayberry. I know bayberry are kind of higher quality. I think a lot of them.
I'll have to double check that one.
Yeah, I have a plan from 11/4/2022 and 11/9 was the last plan edit, and the only real difference was switching out the mountain laurel for bayberry, and then there was that comment about the stumps being managed.
Yeah, if they didn't survive anyway, I see no point in not replacing them with what was originally,
Right.
agreed for. So that's,
Hey, anybody in the audience have any information or comment on this particular item? Seeing none, anybody on Zoom out there? Okay, Karen, anything else?
No, I think you've covered everything. You've made your position clear on the fence, and being able to not put in the tree is important to us, and the rest of the plants will be planted. And now that we know that the water pan does not apply to drip irrigation, we can do a drip irrigation next year, even if there is a water ban, so.
Okay, great. And what do we need, a
There is-
vote or?
yeah, you need a motion to deny the request to not put up the fence and allow them to not replant that one tree.
Okay, everybody clear on the motion? Anybody making the motion? Jack? Second?
I'll second.
Bradford seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I don't think so. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Thank you.
That was a double negative motion.
Yeah. I think it made sense, though, as long as, yeah.
The next item is RDA for 68 Bobolink Lane. Oh, no, yes.
Yep.
68 Bobolink Lane. Hi, how are you? This is after the fact filing for deck expansion and stairs in coastal bank, the land subject to coastal storm flowage and the buffer zone to a salt marsh.
Yes, so I'm here representing the homeowner. I'm Yasmin. So the homeowner, they renovated the deck. The wood was rotten and they replaced the railings, but they decided to build a staircase for egress. And that's the reason that we are here, because it's considered an extension on the deck.
Yes.
So we are here, it's already built, so we are here after the fact to ask for approval to see if we can leave the way that it is. I would say it's beneficial because before we didn't have the safety exit from the top floor, so now we have the exit.
Anyone on the commission have a question or comment?
I'm less concerned about the stairs and more concerned about the rent station.
The what?
The rent station or outdoor shower that's next to the stairs.
I don't recall having that there.
It's not on your plans, but it's at the site.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is that under the deck, or is it,
It's next to the stairs.
yeah? I haven't been to the site either, so.
Yeah, you would like that to be removed, or?
It either needs to be permitted or removed, yes.
Oh, okay, I believe it was there then, because the only thing that we touched, it was the deck and the staircase.
No.
It's new.
It wasn't there at the sale because
Yeah.
I
Okay.
toured the house, so.
I would have to
Sorry.
check with my, I would have to check with my client, yeah, okay. So we just need to ask for a permit for that shower or get it removed then? Okay,
Yes.
What you would do about the runoff from the shower, because it's right there on the slope, some erosion on it.
okay. Yeah, I'm not aware of the shower because I was only hired for the deck part. So I can definitely communicate with them and see what decision they will make and communicate with the town if they would decide to remove it or if they want to put a new permit for the shower, if that's okay with you.
Go ahead.
Could you indulge me in I have a note on photos 7 and 9 in photos.
All right, let me see.
I wrote a note and I need to remind myself on what.
Is that's where we see the shower, yeah.
Oh, there you go, yeah, 7, there it is, that's, okay,
Looks new.
that's why I noted it.
Yeah,
okay.
I can definitely communicate to that with them about that and get back to you as soon as I talk to them about it.
Okay. And what am I looking at in number 9?
That's existing. Like I said, I only worked on the deck part, so I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I was there and I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It might be something that Brittany took a picture of that she was interested in terms of, a structure going up on the land, maybe in an area that is,
Yeah, we're definitely not touching anything anymore in the house.
I thought you might know what it is, okay.
Maybe it was there previously. Yeah,
That's really the benefit of the site visit, because as you could see from the aerials, it's kind of hard to get a full picture, so
Yeah.
it's probably
yeah,
additional stuff
I
that-
didn't notice that, honestly, because the only thing I was like more concerned about the deck and the staircase portion.
so it seemed to me also that there was a concern about the stairway encroaching upon the buffer zone. But that doesn't seem to be reflected too much in the notes here.
We did the
Seems
BVW.
like- I mean,
Yeah, we did the BVW, and they said it's within the 100 buffer zone,
okay,
100 feet, yeah. We should have the report here, I
oh,
believe.
okay.
Yes,
I believe it's also within a flood zone.
Yes,
So not just the buffer zone to a BVW, but within land subject to coastal
yeah,
flowage.
okay, all right.
yeah, there.
This is the note on the delineation.
But as far as the recommendation, it seems that one of the major things has to do with the erosion taking place on the property and the fact that the conservation agent Brittany would like to meet with somebody out there to discuss the erosion and what possibly could be done to maybe plantings or whatever.
Yes, she asked me for a mitigation plan, which I also sent it to you. And she told me that you could either approve what we proposed or ask for something different.
Yeah, I think, if I remember correctly, the plan that we got didn't have a lot of detail, so I think she just wants to be able to go out and visit.
Yes, because I proposed what I thought it would be okay, but I discussed with her, and she said that at the hearing, you could also ask me for something, because we were not sure, like, what exactly would work in the property. So I proposed what I thought it was best.
So does this require a continuation?
It's a request for a determination, so we can't continue it,
Okay.
but you can issue a -2 and 3 determination with conditions that Brittany get out there before any planting is done, and erosion to stabilize that slope with a native seed mix.
I think our main concern was if we would have to demo the
Right.
staircase or keep it, but anything else that you want us to do, we'll definitely
Okay.
do it,
okay,
yeah.
Okay. Everyone clear on that? Anybody in the audience have anything on this? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, could I have a motion then? Or I guess it'd be a -2,
-2 and -3
-2 and
with the
-3.
special conditions.
The condition for erosion, seeding, and site visit by the conservation agent.
Could I just confirm the square footage of mitigation? I have 360 square feet, is that,
Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding the mitigation plan.
I don't think there is one.
Yeah.
Mitigation area, right there.
I got the square footage from somewhere.
Yeah, this is,
Oh, there it is, yeah.
and this is exactly why Brittany wanted to be out there, because it doesn't really show the landscape that well, so,
But it does show the mitigation
the area, yeah.
area.
Okay,
All right, did somebody make that motion?
so moved.
Okay,
Second,
second. All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed?
Me.
So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
So I'm sure Brittany will be in touch with you.
okay.
Yeah, about the shower and the, whatever that other thing is, we'll tackle those separately.
Okay, I will definitely reach out to you, thank you.
Do you have a signature page for that to pass down?
Pardon me? Oh,
Just signatures.
thank God, 68. Oh,
68, yeah,
Two
yeah,
of
30
them, yeah.
Higgins didn't have anything, there
You
you
do
go.
Higgins Kroll too?
No, there's nothing there.
Nothing there, okay, so I'll hang that, I'll put that over here.
Oh, yes, I,
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Okay, next item is Cape Cod Engineering for Richard Pelletier, 188 South Street. Proposed replacement of 7 piles on existing dock and land of the ocean and land containing shellfish. Hello, how are you?
Good evening. I'm great, thanks. Bob Perry, Cape Cod Engineering was asked by Richard Pelletier to look into the worn-out pilings that are over at his docking facility at 188 South Street. I worked on this dock when it was first conceived and permitted back in the 80s, I think. So what we have is a series of float anchor piles that are accessible directly from the deeper water once the floats are out. The floats were not out when I was over there. I believe they are out, or they will be out. Certainly they'll be out for this work. So we have the 5 pilings along the perimeter of that large platform, and we have 2 pilings that I term outhaul pilings. Those are elective. I'm not sure that those would be replaced, but they're going to be inspected. They're out in the water, and I didn't get a good close-up on them. The others have really been scrubbed and worn, and one of them is actually a pipe. Maybe 2 of them are pipes. They're going to be changed to a typical timber piling. And these would be driven into place. A marine barge will come up and install, will first vibrate and jiggle the old ones out. They're not going to be cutting anything off. Everything would be removed. And the new pilings would be installed. I do have a question for the board or for Joe. Is CCA pile still, is that allowed in Yarmouth now?
Is that if there's a size limit to it. I believe it's 3 inches. Does anyone else know?
These are proposed to be 10-inch
10 inches?
maximum.
Oh, tight. Yeah.
And, the general understanding is that the work would be consistent with your rules and regulations.
Okay.
There's been back and forth.
Are we good on the piling? The question on the piling, should we look it up if we don't know?
I mean, if as long as Bob's willing to do whatever it is in the regulation to make sure it's compliant, then
Yeah, okay, all right.
Right,
I don't think we need to call it out specifically.
many RDAs don't have the oversight of an order of conditions. We checked with Brittany initially about this being an RDA, and that was the choice.
Okay.
But there's no reason that there can be easily to coordinate this, just to make sure we aren't using anything you don't want us to
Exactly,
use.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
That's what we want to make sure of. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
No, that's my speech. Thank you.
Okay,
Are we still waiting DMF comment?
Yes, yeah, we haven't gotten any comment yet, but again, we can't continue, so we could,
We did hear from them. They said they received it, but I
Oh.
didn't get a comment
Yeah.
either.
yeah.
So, can you continue the RDA, or do you,
No, the best we could do is issue a determination
contingent?
depending, yeah.
That works for me.
Okay.
does anybody have any questions or comments on the commission?
I have a preference for not using CCA regardless of the size. Unless it's coming down to cost, I'd prefer some other ecologically safe alternative.
I understand. I have, since I got into this business about 40 years ago, we've had industry studies, and those are usually biased to the industry. I've done a lot of research on dilution of these things, and I've had agreement for using repurposed piles. I don't know if that's of interest here. There's varying grades of CCA treatment. There's 2.5 pounds per cubic foot, and then there's 1 pound per cubic foot. And just think we get into Greenheart pilings, we're into the whole concept of rainforest abuse, and we have the possibility that there's a greater repetition of the work if the pile rots. So I don't disagree with the concern. We're in an open area on Bass River, very, very high flushing. The sewers in Dennis aren't even coming to this part of the river. I don't know about Yarmouth, but I just would say that if, I can note that concern, I don't know if it's a feeling of the entire board, but we would look for a CCA treatment that would be of a lower intensity than the maximum, which is what you use down south when you have warm water borers. So if we could use 1 pound per cubic foot, that would be a whole lot easier on the environment, if that's a compromise you could reach.
As long as it meets the regulations, I'm fine. I'm just voicing an opinion.
I get it. Thank you for that.
Sometimes in the past, I don't think we've dealt with pilings in a while, but there's been discussions about fiberglass and all this other stuff.
There are composites. They're usually hollow. Then there's the concern for, plastics and other man-made things that get into the environment. And the hope is that, with CCA, that you do get terrific dilution. This is just, pilings. And then there really isn't very much coming out of these piles or sheets once they have weathered. And then there's a fact that you're going to get a little bit of outflow of the chemical when they're new. But, in the other instances we've had, we've asked for these pilings to be somewhat weathered before they're used, not delivered right out of the factory. But again, I'll leave it to your board to determine your, maybe a changing set of rules, which, as we learn more about these things, you can change them up. And for now, I guess we'd go with what you'll permit.
Yeah, I don't know anything about any changes of conditions. Brittany would be,
My understanding is that there used to be a regulation against it, but builders were so hard pressed to fulfill that regulation that they dialed it back just as a compromise,
yeah,
with the
so
understanding that it's not preferred, but it is.
is it pressure treated? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
pressure-treated copper chromium arsenate.
Yeah.
In closed embayments, you do have issues, I think, with that. And out here in such a dilute environment, it's probably less of a concern. But it's intended to preserve the wood against marine life.
Sure, okay.
I just want to make one comment. I went out, and some of them didn't look so bad. So you're going to really check which ones really need
Well,
to be.
yeah, it's a elective, but that the count came from the owner's preference. And the platform pilings are fine. It's where the floats have been wearing. I actually have not seen such wear on pilings in all my time. But some of them are really scuffed. And I think it's just the float was just a hard surface against the piles and
He has
a lot of
big-
wake action.
He has a big boat on it, too, beautiful
Oh, the
boat.
cat boat?
Mm,
Yeah,
nice.
nice little 26, maybe 23-foot cat. Yeah, it's a pretty boat. It's his pride and joy.
You can see it if you lift that picture up, I think.
This one?
Yeah, right, is that?
Fantastic.
No, I know I saw it in, it might have been one of the overheads. I saw it in the area.
I made a sure thing that I took a picture of it when I was there. It is a nice little boat.
Maybe it wouldn't have to be all 7, that's all.
Right, it may not be.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Anything? Anybody in the audience? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, so someone should make a motion,
Yeah,
to recommend a
Recommend a
negative two.
-2. Since we are still waiting for the DMF comments, we would probably want to include potential conditions from their comments, which would be typical, as Bob already said, pulling the entire piles out instead of cutting them, things of that nature.
Okay, do we have that recorded somewhere, or should we?
We haven't gotten them yet, so
Okay,
as,
So
as,
it would
as
be a-
long as Bob's okay with us saying that
I'm-
pending, then
Yeah,
you
if
guys
we need to
can-
talk to you about those, we'll come back, but
Yeah.
we usually accept those conditions because they're pretty
right,
realistic.
exactly, okay. So I guess we can
So
vote.
it'd be a motion for -2 with incorporating DMF comments
yeah, and just pending
pending.
rescape, yeah.
That was
my motion.
That was the motion.
All right,
Need a second.
Second.
thank you, Bob.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Pick that up.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Thank you all. Good night.
Good night.
All right.
Continue notice of intent, Cape Cod Engineering. Oh, this is for RJ Resorts, Blue Water Resort owner, 291 and 301 South Shore Drive.
Yes.
Proposed seasonal deck on coastal beach, velocity, flood zone, and NHESP habitat. Is this?
Yeah, we received a email from Bob earlier today with a request that you should have it. It should have been in the pile, maybe it got lost underneath one of the folders, but he was
Okay.
requesting for the first available meeting in January, which would be the 15th.
Okay. This has been continued many times.
It has, but it's pending NHESP comment. I guess
Okay.
they've had a lot of questions about the raking, and they've received comment, but I guess there's still some back and forth there, and it hasn't been clear exactly what they want, so,
Being held up by an older 2020 permit.
yeah.
Okay, so we need a motion to continue. You have a question, Nellie?
Yeah, I think, the drawings, there was a revised plan, and,
For this one?
yeah, they're dated the same, that's all.
Oh, okay.
But, these guys, this.
We have this revised plan from July.
Yeah. And then the other one is, unless there's a revised, it says 23, but
Oh, does it actually have a different date on it?
in the bottom right corner, I think they're both dated the 21st, which is just
Oh, you're right, yeah.
connected.
Good eye.
Yeah, yeah. Went all these months without noticing that. You got that, Bob? Just a revision there on the date, I guess. There's no revision date, apparently.
What's this one?
We have it marked as revised, so I'm not sure exactly. Oh, here it is.
It's up there?
Yeah, right at the top,
Okay.
there.
We'll check that.
Okay,
We've had some discussions with NHESP.
yeah,
I'll get back to you. Thank you.
right, thank you. Thanks for sticking around to hear that out.
That hoped.
We have,
You have to vote on the
We voted.
continuance? Did you do that yet?
yeah. Did we?
No, I don't think we voted.
No?
No,
We
we
didn't
All right,
vote.
Bradford, would you like to make a motion?
No, I had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is the seasonal deck out? Because it's after December 1st.
Is the deck out?
Is the deck removed?
We never put it in. Well,
They did.
My understanding that it is,
Okay.
and I'm speaking from my last visit, which was months ago. If it's not, I will contact you, but I believe it is. I can't imagine it sitting out there.
Okay. I just wanted to confirm, it says remove by December 1st. It's after December 1st.
It has no authority to be there.
Yeah.
Out.
So we're just
Bradford,
voting.
that's the folder for 188 South, right? South Street? On the tab.
okay.
Looking at, yeah.
So we're voting to continue?
Yes, please, to 11526.
I'm getting me confused, yeah. This has to do with the next one has to do with the temporary deck. That's where we were moving.
This is the temporary deck we're talking about right now, the one on the beach. The next one is the dock. This is,
I will make a motion to continue SE 83-2494 to January 14th?
15.
15th, 2026.
Thank you.
Second.
Take all in favor?
Aye.
We need this in that,
There's no signature page for that, so
there's no,
no signature for that.
take a deep breath here.
Oh yeah, I misspoke. It's not the dock next. We're on Chilton next.
Okay, so now, everybody all set, you know where we are?
Yep, Chilton.
Okay. This is SC 83, 2503 Grady Consulting. Joseph Decipio, 6 Chilton Road, proposed raise and replace of a single-family dwelling in land subject to coastal storm flowage. And the buffer zone to a coastal bank.
Good evening, Scott Fennar with Grady Consulting, representing the applicant. We were here a couple of weeks ago. This is a proposed raise and rebuild of a single-family dwelling. There are some discussions that we incorporated into our design. Let's review some of those changes. There was concern about the rent station being moved closer to the resource area, so we have proposed it to push further back, so it's outside that 35-foot buffer. There was initially a proposed raised patio that was going to require a retaining wall, and that was going to be within the 35-foot buffer. The applicant has decided to remove that and instead go with an elevated deck, which was one of the recommendations of the commission. As part of that change, the deck was actually reduced slightly to provide a greater setback to the resource area. There was initially a shed that was on the rear side of the building. There was some concern about the shed being over the septic system, and with the need to put some type of sonotube or solid foundation below it, it really was not feasible to keep it, so we've actually removed that, which helps reduce a bit of the coverage on site. There was some discussion about the mitigation area. There's some discretion within the bylaw that allows the commission to decide what percentage or what ratio they'd like the mitigation to be replaced at. The discussion was to make it a 4-to-1, so we agreed to increase that mitigation area, the mitigation plantings, which is shown on that second sheet. And I believe that is a summary of the major changes. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the commission?
What is the square footage on the proposed deck now?
The proposed deck,
Yeah.
well, it looks like it's 18 by 21 and a half.
It appears larger than the last
So the,
Previous.
no, it's smaller than the previous one. Actually, I think I have the previous version under here. So the entire footprint, so that the patio itself might have been smaller, but then there was the retaining wall that stuck out further. So that was proposed, let's see, it's 17.2 feet from the resource area, and this is proposed at 18 feet from the resource area. So it is, the total footprint is in fact smaller.
Is there a cross-section of the deck?
I think we asked for that.
A cross-section for the deck?
Yeah,
No, there's not a cross-section for the deck.
oh, that's the landing.
So the deck's gonna be elevated like we talked about. It's gonna be just a step below that first floor elevation, then there's steps from the driveway that'll lead up to the deck, and then same thing in the rear. Or in the back side of the deck, there'll be steps back down onto the lawn, the existing grade.
And what are the piling sizes for that? How many of them are there?
Yep, so the deck will be on sonotubes.
Of the deck. Oh, I don't know that, it's, 18 by 21 and a half.
Okay. Actually, the deck will be on diamond piers rather than sonotubes to have a lesser impact.
Diamond piers? Where
So
does
if you
it
look
say
on,
that?
if you look on that second sheet, on the bottom, the diamond piers, rather than having to excavate down and, you know, put a sonotube in the ground and pour concrete into it, they've come up with these diamond piers that you really just put them on grade and then you pin them down into place. So they're really secure, and they have a lesser impact.
This cross-section for the stairs,
This cross-section, I believe Brittany had asked for a cross-section for the access stairs off to the left of the property. We had a note on there to
access stairs across the unpermitted revetment.
across the revetment, correct?
So this cross-section shows what?
This landing piece,
Yes.
yeah, that shows what he intends to replace for those stairs across the revetment.
So where you said there's one for the deck.
Oh, no, so there's no cross-section for the deck. I was just pointing out, you had asked what the diamond piers were. I was just pointing out what the diamond piers were to support that deck.
I'd like to see a cross-section for the deck as well. So that
For the deck?
Yes, because you have stairs within the 35 in the flood zone. I also have questions on these stairs. Are there risers versus treads, or what is the material that it's made out of?
I think we asked for that last time, if I'm not
I did,
mistaken.
yes.
The cross-section of the deck, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't recall that. I know there was a request for a cross-section of the, that depression area and then these stairs. But as far as the material for the deck, I'm not sure.
Composite material.
A composite material for the deck.
And the stairs, is there a riser as well as a run, or?
You can come up, Joe, yeah.
Hi, I'm Joe DeCipio, the owner of the property. The idea is to do composite treads and composite risers to go up into the deck.
No, I'm talking about the access stairs to the
no,
revetment, because that's what is shown on the plans.
So I'm showing an aluminum stair. I'm not sure what the best approach is, because I've never done that before, just assume aluminum stairs.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought you were asking about the decks.
I thought he was too, I'm
Well, I
sorry.
did, but you didn't show that on the plan, so I'm asking about the question of the cross-section on the plans that you have shown us.
Okay, that wasn't clear to me, but yeah, so the stairs will be aluminum, is what he's proposing.
Aluminum.
Yep.
Okay.
Is there preference for the board that you guys would recommend using for those kind of stairs, or?
The rest of the board, if there's any concern about it. Jack, anything? Pat?
No. No, Pat.
Was the relocation of the rinse station, that's a revision, you didn't mention it in your list of revisions, right? Isn't that-
I did. So initially, we proposed that rinse station, I believe it was in that 35-foot buffer.
Yeah.
So we pushed it back
Okay.
outside the
Yeah,
35.
I just wanted to make note of that. You
Yeah,
did do
definitely.
that, yeah. I think we just really needed clarity on the deck with elevations noted to see what was going on with the existing substrate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the deck will be elevated on elevation of, I think, 13.6. It shows on the plan there, which is just one step down from that first floor elevation. And again, there'll be steps from grade that'll go up to that elevated deck. And it will be supported on those diamond piers.
There'll probably be 4 of those diamond piers underneath it supporting it.
And you added the crushed stone, I think. I don't think you noted that before. I don't have the previous.
Yeah, there'll be crushed stone below the rinse station.
You would ask for that, yeah.
Yep.
Below the deck, crushed stone.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Let me ask a question, because I have some notes here from Brittany. Maybe Joe could help with this. The patio has been eliminated, right? You have the deck over the patio, is that correct?
Yes.
There's something here from her about a new plan?
Well, so our regulations, again, we have that 35-foot no disturb zone, and this is preferable to a hardscape patio, but it is still a pretty significant area in the 35-foot buffer. So that's just food for thought, I guess.
Yeah, I know, because it seems to me that the things that were discussed last time were provided by the
Yes.
applicant. And-
Yeah.
And so it seems that we want a little bit more detail on things, and is that something that the board is looking for?
Yeah, from what I've heard so far, it sounds like everyone wants more detail in the deck cross-section.
Maybe a thought of shrinking the size of the deck? This is something that
The size of the deck,
had mentioned,
yeah.
bringing it down to 560.
If I may, just as Joe was referring to for the mitigation for this coverage within that buffer zone, the total required mitigation for the work that we're doing based on the bylaw and based on the commission's decision a couple weeks ago for a 4-to-1 replication is 570 square feet, and we're proposing 1,050 square feet, so double what the requirement is. So I think this is a significant improvement. And if the, I guess, sticking point is the deck, we're happy to provide a detail of the deck as a condition of approval. That's really not a problem. I believe most of the information's on here, like we talked about at the last hearing. There'll be crushed stone below it. The deck will be elevated with spacing in between. We'll specify the type of material and show a detail with the supports underneath it too.
Okay.
I have a couple other things, unless you guys are still.
Anybody else? Jack?
Yeah, let me ask for you to go back over what's happening to the 35-foot buffer. You're not going to put it, you have 15 square feet. Is that going to be eliminated?
So that 115 is the increase in coverage within that 35-foot buffer zone. So there's an existing coverage of 1,147, and the proposal is for 1,262, with the agreement that will provide this significant mitigation plantings.
Yeah, I would be for elimination of anything.
I'm sorry, Jack, what?
I would be for elimination of anything in the 35-foot.
Any new,
Anything. This is a new,
Well, there's stuff pre-existing.
Right.
so-
So,
but it's
All right, let's go one at a time, if you don't mind. Go ahead, Jack.
my understanding that once you start changing things, you have to meet the new regulations.
Yep, and, yeah, and part of the regulations is that,
You can't be grandfathered in on that.
and part of the regulations is that at the commission's discretion with the replication plantings that you
I
are
understand,
allowed
but
to.
I would just not have none. That's a personal,
Okay. I'm not sure that would cause anybody to not vote in favor of this project. But I don't know. Okay, anything else?
So just for clarity, just for clarity, I'm looking at the mitigation table, and in the 35-foot buffer zone, the driver of the additional square footage is the 59 square feet of deck and 56 square feet of driveway, correct?
That is correct.
So that's really what Jack is concerned about, is that addition of 115 square feet. And then to your point, you negate that within the 35 to 50, you're reducing minus 33, and then 50 to 100, you're adding 55. So it's a net of 137.
so,
So you'd like to see a deck that 59 square foot less?
so Joe, do you think that the mitigation, and you and Brittany think that the mitigation is substantial enough that it would be worth going into the 35?
I mean,
Is it
the
correct?
reason it's at the commission's discretion is because it's also within your right to deny anything in the 35. So if it's up to your vote and your discretion, if you feel, Jack, if you'd be happier with even more mitigation. Thank you. That's okay. And I don't know the feeling of the rest of the commission, if you are okay with anything, any new. And like I said, this is an improvement from what you saw last time, but it's still totally within your right to say it's in the 35, and so you're going to vote no. So
Well, the issue to me is, what is, if there's an improvement that's worthwhile.
yeah, I understand.
And
Yeah,
I understand that's a difficult,
yeah. Can you really quantify that? It's up to your
spend
judgment
a
a little bit
career
here.
doing that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Bradford, do you have anything else you want to add to? You seem to have some strong ideas about this.
I think I've said what I've had to say on this one.
Okay, all right.
you don't, so in your thinking, do you address the idea of sufficiency in the gain of more, more planning?
I think the biggest impacts that are being proposed to us are in our no disturb zone. You've reduced the amount of impacts within the 35 to 50, but the impacts are still largest within the area we're most concerned about. But I honestly don't feel like the things I asked for last time were addressed, so I'm still waiting for those.
I'm confused about Brittany's comment about consider allowing less new coverage by shrinking the deck. Where's the 561 square foot come in? What is she saying there? Shrink?
Well,
No, you can't, the deck is a total of, I don't know where the 561 square
I don't
foot
either.
comes in, so, I mean, we can't,
Oh, I see.
As a counterpart, if the commission's stead strong on not allowing an increase in coverage within that 35-foot buffer, we could reduce the size of the driveway to make sure that there's no increase. But in part with that, we would not be required to mitigate at the 4-to-1 ratio. The only mitigation that would be required would be 110 square feet. So this proposed mitigation plantings from the 1,050, which is a significant increase by the bylaw or by the regulation, would only need to be 110 square feet. So that's the trade-off that we're talking about here. So if the commission really does not want to allow any type of increase, you know, we could reduce it down there, but again, there would be no requirement to have this significant amount of mitigation. In fact, it'd be 10% of this mitigation size. So just trying to put that into perspective, the significant plantings that we're proposing here and the benefit to the environment.
In your opinion, the extra mitigation, is that land, what shall I say, a good ecosystem at this point? Or are you making that a lot better?
Well, what is existing is fertilized and maintained and mowed lawn, grass. So part of the mitigation is he's sacrificing that existing lawn area for more native plantings, which, yeah, it provides a nice habitat.
So I would, on that basis, I would go along with your approach. And I think that's a significant amount, and that we're talking all the ecosystem that goes along, animals, plants, and everything goes along with that versus grass. So I'm sorry to drag everybody through this
That's all right,
analysis.
Kelly.
I think you're giving, I think you're making the site, I think you're making the site better than what it was by deleting the concrete walkway, et cetera. And I think that's why we're just asking for a section of the deck, because it is elevated. I think, you know, you're getting, and you're replacing that hard surface, you know, with plantings. That's my feeling. I know it's in the 35-foot buffer, that calculation, but when you look at the site holistically as a whole, I think it's good that you are introducing more plantings and getting rid of that impervious concrete walkway. It was quite extensive.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other part of you know, the concrete walkways versus the deck, I mean, the deck has spacing in between it with crushed down below, so it does allow infiltration.
That's why that's why I'm looking just a section to show that.
You wouldn't be able to know
Right.
from these plans that there's spacing in between the decking,
Yeah.
so.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to see as far as the cross-section is concerned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was, the applicant had talked about a condition being that there's a review of the deck, or the construction of the deck, the building of the deck, the creation of a cross-section as one of the conditions that can be reviewed by Brittany. Is that something that can be done, or do we have to continue it?
I think that's really up to you. If you think these, I mean, it seems like there are concerns that some of the things you wanted addressed in this plan weren't addressed. So if you would rather continue to make sure those get added, that's within your right. If you want to put all the
I know.
burden on me and Brittany to review the plan.
Well, I
then
think at this
that's,
particular point, what we should do is see if there's any other comments for the
Yeah.
audience or on Zoom.
I do, I
Have a motion from.
have
the
just one other
commission to
comment
take a
as
vote.
well, so.
Be up or down.
I'd like to say something.
Yes.
I think we should consider just, as you're doing the other updates, consider just maybe shortening the deck a little bit, just bring it in more. Because, again, I know you're doing significant plantings and all this for the mitigation, but it is a no-disturb zone. So, as, you know, as small as you can make it, to be comfortable with it, the deck, that's all.
So when you say that the elevator, it says 21.5 by 18 is the size of the deck, so what would you propose?
I don't know.
You don't have a number?
No, I don't.
Is there any feasible,
Under 20 even. We like to build even numbers.
all right, well, let's do this. Let's find out if there's any other comment from the audience and from Zoom, and then we'll see if we have a motion, rather than keep beating this dead horse. You know, I personally think, well, I won't say that. I'll just vote the way I think I should. Okay? Anybody in the audience? on this item? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, does anybody care to make a motion regarding,
I just have one last thing.
Yes, I'm sorry, Joe.
With the steps, the stairs over the revetment, I don't know if we had a detail for the spacing between any planks on that? Just, if you're gonna be going back to the drawing board with this anyway, if we could get a 1-inch spacing on that.
One
Just have that
spacing,
called
okay.
out so we can, make sure light gets through.
Yeah. I'm, yeah, happy to accept that as a condition.
Great.
I think if we're looking at any reduction, it would be in the driveway because that's hardscape versus an elevated deck. And that's, right. Yeah, we're also, they also need variances too. So are we voting on those tonight or, I mean,
We would, I believe any vote would include those variances.
yeah.
okay?
But do you know what I mean, Pat? It's either or, I mean, it's a drive, but they're both in the same buffer.
It's
I
just
mean,
that
the driveway.
Noting Brittany's comments, it's more to the decking, to shrink the size of the decking.
Anything else, Joe?
At this point, I think it's kind of up to your judgment, but it sounds like,
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, before we make a motion, probably be specific in what you want them, if you want them to try to reduce either the deck or the driveway, or consider either or both a combination, just, I would hate to ask for those cross sections for the deck and then have them come back and then you decide, a specific reduction in either of those. So I would try to just aim for something specific for them to shoot for
Yeah,
those changes.
In my opinion, we seem to be a little muddled on this, and unless we can make a very articulate, specific motion with specific conditions, I'm thinking that it might be better to ask for a continuance or to move to a continuance. I'm sorry.
I might suggest after talking to my client here that we're happy to, if the board's willing to approve this tonight, we're happy as a condition to both provide, a cross-section detail of that deck and to specifically reduce that size from 21.5 down to 20 feet even. So another bit of a compromise and showing that he's willing to work here just to be able to move this forward and
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Anybody like to attempt a motion, please?
What would that motion be? Motioning to, well,
Condition.
he just offered to approve with that reduction in size?
Well, that would be articulated in the motion.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that's what, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So we could, can move to approve this with the condition that the applicants provide a cross-section of the deck and a reduction, and a plan indicating the reduction in the size of the deck. Is that everything you said? Okay, is there anything else to add to that?
And
And
the detail about the
cross-section-
stairs, the spacing of the stairs also, and
What about the stairs?
the 1-inch spacing on the steps
Okay, the plan,
included in the revised
sorry,
plan.
and also a indication of the 1-inch spacing on the stairs.
So moved.
So moved, okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Did you second it, Jack?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, seconded by Jack, say aye. Aye?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes and nay?
Ayes or nays,
Ayes
yeah.
and
I-
nays.
they're nice, yes.
That was confusing too.
All right.
Okay, so what do we have? 2 ayes and three nays?
Correct.
So that
Correct.
the motion doesn't pass. All right, so,
Go for continue.
what's
In that
that?
case, we can continue.
Continue this?
I can't hear you.
Can we
Continue.
continue it?
Continue, yeah,
Could
yeah.
could we continue with a request that,
Yeah,
let's provide an alternate of reducing the square footage within the buffer, either the deck or the driveway. The driveway just is hardscape, and I'm just thinking that is very cleanly be reduced. No, you don't think so,
We just proposed a reduction,
right?
yes, in the deck.
Not the driveway? How about both? I just thought it would be easier in the driveway, and that's.
Have to reduce mitigation area, I don't understand, like, so what if they give such a big mitigation area?
It's gravel.
Didn't we
Yeah.
just vote on this? So can,
Yeah, so-
are we even able to continue at this point?
ooh, that's a,
Are they gonna bring
We
back?
have to resubmit it? I don't know,
that's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% positive, actually.
yeah. Well,
I just wanted to see other options, that's all, and how to do that, and a continuance.
well, you know, it's interesting. I would recommend that you get in touch with Brittany, or Joe, you be in touch with these folks about what the next step would be for them.
Yeah, if we can't continue tonight, then, yeah, I guess that would be.
Should be able to continue, I would think, just make another motion to continue.
That's,
Yeah,
that was what I thought,
Yeah,
but,
Have a motion to continue this, thank you, Dan.
I move to continue to, the next meeting, to what date is?
would,
December.
2 weeks be enough to make some of these changes, or do you want the next
It's-
available would
it's
be
cer-
January?
It certainly is, but I would gonna need more specifics on
Right.
what would
Exactly,
need
very
changed,
specific.
because we had a long discussion last meeting, and our opinion is that we had addressed all of those changes. I'm hearing now that the opinion is that some of these changes were not addressed. We've made some compromises, and some of the members aren't willing to listen to those compromises. We're happy to make the changes, and as you can see, with the significant improvements of this site, you know, the owner is clearly willing to make improvements here. We just need more direction on what the commission would be considered approvable. Because we believe this is an approvable plan.
That's why I voted no on.
Right, so that wasn't enough of a reduction, or is that the feeling?
This is fine, so I voted no on reducing anything.
I see, I see.
Yeah, I don't think we need to explain our
Yeah, I
reason
mean,
for
it's
voting or
kind of
not
another double
voting aye or
negative,
nay.
that's
I think that things were presented in a very efficient manner. We considered it, there were questions about it, a motion was made, and I'm sorry that I'm not able to tell you exactly what the next step is. Usually I rely on Brittany being here or somebody to help out with that kind of thing. So all I can tell you is that if we can have some communication after, if we can vote to continue this, and then there can be some communication with Joe and Brittany about what specifically needs to be put into the plan. I won't comment on the plan right now. I think it is what it is. But, so can we do that, and maybe we can get,
Sure, yeah, we'll accept the continuance, sure.
yeah, and then we'll try to make it as easy as possible. I'm sorry for this complication.
Do you want to continue to the 18th then, and if we can't quite figure out what changes to make, we can move it to January? You just be in touch with me and Brittany?
Yeah, the next available hearing would be preferred.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion, I think, on the floor to continue
To
this,
continue to December 18th.
December
18th,
18th.
yeah, 2 weeks from now.
All right. We have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, we'll continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What do we do with this?
Nothing, yeah.
Okay. Okay, next item is SC 832501, 53 Aunt Dora's Lane. Presented by Down Cape Engineering. Welcome. Dr. Sarajan, how are you?
Good, how you doing, Paul? I want to apologize for my phone going off. I thought I had turned it off, but I didn't, I guess.
Yeah, happens everywhere.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Dan Ojala. I'm a land surveyor and also a civil engineer, and helping Dr. Surgeon out with hopefully a pretty straightforward matter. It's a replacement of a pier that he first had permitted back in 1996. He's been a longtime resident of the area. There was an enforcement order. I think there was a misunderstanding that the pier, wasn't permitted or didn't have a license. But we did supply that license over to Brittany eventually, so she does have that now. He's transferred it for, inter-family transfer. Normally those interim 99-year licenses expire if you convey it for a value, but it's an inter-family transfer, so our position would be that license is still valid. What brought the action was that there was an older, the existing large float system was made of styrofoam, and it started to deteriorate, and there were little white things all over the bay, and the doctor felt bad about that, and it was in a bit disrepair, so he thought he was doing the right thing and replaced it with very nice new modern plastic floats, high flotation floats, and this is a long float. I think he should be commended for how natural this property is. Instead of the, irrigated turf lawn right down to the water, he's maintained it over the years as a very natural Cape Cod lawn. There's a very significant buffer. He's got, a couple 100 feet of beautiful salt marsh all along there, and it's interrupted only by this one little, and it was a concrete before, a 4-foot concrete strip that went down to the dock. And it was there when he bought it and so forth, but he licensed it, did the right thing. And so, in the process of replacing it, it caught the attention of the town. And they said, oh, you put in a new pier without a license, so you got to come in. And we were hired to fix the situation. We got BSC involved, but of course, it was the beginning of winter, and they couldn't get out there to do the shellfish survey. So one thing led to another, but and then we had to do waterways. But finally, here we are. The shellfish report it's good shellfish habitat. The doctor's a bit of a shellfish fan and has noticed over the years a commercial area up there. And there's a pretty good habitat for shellfish. And the nice thing about these floating systems is they're removed in the fall, in the winter, and then the clammers move right in and take whatever clams they'd like that were growing larger underneath the pile. So they do have a rule, they try and stay 5 feet away from, fixed piers, but the waterways, some of the shell fishermen on that were kind of pleased that we were sticking with the float system and not going to a fixed pier ramp and float system. So it's a little bit lower than normal, than you guys usually see, but again, it was in the past always concrete underneath that walkway. And what it does is it keeps a very low natural profile. Even sometimes you get some wash over the top and it just blends right in rather than the aesthetic of a big, high raised pier. So you can see from the photograph that's provided in the notice, it's just a very subtle, anybody that's walking along the shore, and one of the people nearby came to Waterways and said, gee, I hope I can get under this thing or over it. And we assured him that, well, if this is permitted here, it's an easy step over, and that's a beach area there, so there's no salt marsh. There's one, again, a thin strip of salt marsh, but where there was concrete before, there's now a raised platform with a little bit more light through. So let me just go through, because it's important, some of the things that you look at. The width of the salt marsh is 23 foot in the area of the structure. Again, just to back up, it's a 2-acre lot. With the governor's new order, he could actually sell the far lot and put a 3-bedroom house, and they might want their own pier, but perhaps something to consider, that he'd certainly agree not to do that and have a second pier on the property if you were able to find your way to give us some modest waivers here. But it's a big lot with those combined lots. It's 2.1 acres. The interim license was way back in 1999 to maintain the concrete pad, ramp, float, and piles. And that was when it was John Surgeon Trust. The DEP license is technically, anytime you change it substantially, it invalidates it, so we would agree it may be invalid because the float size was reduced a little bit and the length was reduced a little bit. You could probably argue that either way, but in any event, his heart was in the right place. He put in the nice new high flotation plastic that's much better for the environment, and basically it's identical to what was there. You can see the profiles on the plan right and left, and just picks it up a little bit over the salt marsh, and it, in other words, is just a little bit smaller float size than what was permitted there before. Your resource areas are salt marsh, land containing shellfish, land under ocean, fish run, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. And again, the shellfish was conducted in late April once they warmed up enough so he didn't have to rent a dry suit. And that report is part of the package there. Again, it's a pretty good shellfish area. We're looking at a width of the decking is about 4.6 and has minimal spacing. We're willing to remove the decking and reset it with 1-inch spacing at 4 foot wide we have in there. Or if the commission would prefer a through float panel, which we have in other places, but Dr. Surgeon would rather the nice 1-inch spacing on the decking. And we've seen, we have had some at-grade walkways on the north side permitted where you can see the grass going right up through a deck like this. So we feel it's reasonable in this case where you've only got 4 out of the 200 and some feet that are even disturbed at all. And very important is where a concrete pad was. This isn't like it was a virgin. You can see in some of the pictures, there's a few chunks of that concrete under there. We can pull those out, and I bet we can get a little bit of salt marsh to grow under there. The presence of the pier, it's nearly 30 years plus, does not appear to have negatively impacted the shellfish habitat and productivity. Again, the floats are removed off-season, so the area would remain accessible for shellfish harvesting. A lot of the time they do work in the winter. The most productive shellfish is out a little bit deeper, and good habitat from 20 to 60. 40 to 60 was a little bit better. Some of the other resource areas you look at are the land subject to coastal storm flowage. It's subject to a 100-year flood of 9. It doesn't flood particularly, this is way, way up the river. You'd have to have a heck of a storm to get a 9 NAVD 88. But again, this is all typical construction for marine. It's rugged and can withstand being underwater. It's still water flooding. Again, there's no real performance standards for that, but nonetheless, it would not impact, I think we would say, that resource area. Rare species is not mapped. So when we look at your regulations, we generally put a permanent sign on there. We're willing to do that. Minimize blockage of sunlight to shellfish beds and salt marsh. Again, either a nice thick 1-inch spacing or through flow panels for 4 foot wide over the salt marsh. And again, we're just going to take the overhangs off, so it's 4 foot wide. And then number 3 would be that the piers shouldn't eliminate moorings or impede navigation. This is the end of the river. It's a big embayment. Waterways looked at it, determined that there was no hazard to navigation, so their minutes should be in your file. They were, they noted that there were some variances required for this, but they were, I would characterize as typically more in favor of going with floats that are removed rather than a fixed pier, ramp and float. Public right of passage sign, as we said, the passage is excellent with this. Were we required to raise it up, which we feel is very unnecessary on this very, very natural site where it had a concrete pad under it, we would either raise it up so high that you could walk under it, and again, it's just visually a lot more than we feel that's needed, or we would put steps up over it and down again, which again adds footprint on the beach and areas that probably would be better off without extra footprint. But one way or the other, we'll absolutely comply with that item, which is number 6, public right of passage. Face up here to the center line of the lot. Again, he's got over 200 feet of frontage, and he meets the 25-foot side setback. This is a spot it wants to be because there's a higher bluff to the east, and you can naturally walk down without having to have a big stairway. So I think it's very reasonable to waive that. And again, it's where the pier has always been, so the site is acclimated to it. Lights, if desired, would adhere to the Yarmouth guidelines. None are intended at this time. 9 is a shared dock. That's not applicable. We're 78 feet from mean high water. It's under the 80-foot that's allowed. Again, the other one was a little bit longer. The water depth at the end of the float is 4 feet, and the inner float is about 1.1 feet. The variance is required to maintain that inner float. We can't quite meet the 2.5-foot minimum, but again, it's been in this configuration for many, many years, and appears to have no impact. The shellfish are doing great. Number 12 talks about the navigable channel and other items. As the narrative says, there's no abutting docks, greater than 100 foot to any channel, greater than 200 foot to a ramp or the town landing to the northeast, and the dock is greater than 25 foot to abutting property lines. On your pier regulation 301D 13, the combined float area less than 200 unless a shared pier, we're at 216 square foot right now. It's a 16 square foot variance. It is 24 foot square less than what was there licensed already, so would respectfully ask to not have to shave it down that little extra bit. No personal watercraft or modular floats in the 200 square foot, and that's not applicable. The owner doesn't have a jet ski. You were going to get one for Christmas, was it?
It's a death wish.
No lifts are proposed, so that 15 is clear. 16, ramp and floats should be removed in the off-season. Dr. Surgeon has removed them since Brittany gave her the warning and hasn't put them in all this summer, so he's been without the pier, so he's absolutely complying with that and is being respectful of the regulations. 17, an expansion of docks should only be allowed where there's no encroachment or and because there's no expansion of the existing permit, that's not applicable. No CCA material allowed except on timbers greater than 3 inches. Again, none proposed. We are planning on, there's some existing, no work absolutely. If we are allowed to proceed with what we feel these minor relief is absolutely no work proposed at all. So that's a bonus, I think. But if we do raise it up, would have to do some work in and around the salt marsh. Hopefully that won't be needed. Number 21, existing legal docks and piers that are destroyed by natural causes may be reconstructed, provided they meet current regulations to the greatest extent practicable, as determined by the commission, and filed within 3 years of destruction in order to qualify. Again, we're seeking a variance to maintain the existing configuration. It was, not completely destroyed, but it was well on the way by natural causes. You've got the UV degradation, the styrofoam was falling apart due to natural causes and causing pollution, and so he felt compelled to correct that and remedy it, and so here we are.
All right, can you put these on the screen? I think everybody's.
Oh, you wanted
heard what's
the
reading.
regulations?
What are you reading from?
Reading from the narrative, and this is on the second page.
Never have seen that.
It's on the NOI.
I don't have anything.
It's in the NOI narrative.
When was this submitted?
This was transmittal of October 17th of '25.
Joe, I don't have anything for this project.
Yeah, it's because it was continued, so we didn't get anything new, I don't believe, so,
So what is the reason why you don't have that?
because it was continued. So you didn't submit anything new recently, right?
No.
Yeah, so we
The
didn't have
only thing
anything
we've
to
given
include
you
in the packet.
recently are a couple of support letters from the abutters, which.
Yes, which we have here.
But,
When was this continued from?
It was from a enforcement order, wasn't it?
I don't have it on.
we didn't file too long ago, October 17th.
October 17th is
So
when
it
it
would have
first came
been
in.
probably early November meeting.
Yeah, November 6th, looks like we had a vote on it.
Yeah, the
That
reason it
would've
was
been the one I
continued is because
missed.
Waterways hadn't acted yet, and so you wanted a continuance for that. And now you've got the Waterways minutes hopefully came in. We bugged them for it. I think they came in yesterday or today.
Well, Dan, regardless of everything you're presenting, and we don't have it in front of us, we can't follow it, seems like it's coming out of the regulations.
Yeah, straight out of the regs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going,
But one of the notes I have is that you might want to continue this again so that you can revise specific plans for what you're going to do for this site. And also, I want to read this, okay? This is a note from Brittany. Pier was never permitted under conservation and rebuilt, and therefore requires conformance with our current regulations.
And thus
I don't know
waived.
if you discussed that with her at all,
Yes.
but I think until we get a plan that does conform with our regulations, it's going to be difficult to get a vote for anything that you're presenting. I'm not sure if that's fair to you, but, you know.
Well, if that's the unanimous opinion of the
that's my-
commission, but.
That's my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that is, but, Dr. Surgeon's been paying taxes for many years on the land, and he's had a license for the pier, and it's been there. So let me just finish quickly a few more points, and then we'll turn it over, and if that's the opinion of the commission.
I certainly know that there are a lot of people who have been around here for a while and have contributed an awful lot to the community, but sometimes we're all faced with following regulations.
Yeah.
And we are all taxpayers.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we're volunteers, so.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So we had gotten to, the rampant floats will be off-season. Right now, they're up on his Cape Cod lawn. No expansion, no CCA. It's not within a no-dock zone. It's not a public project. That's number 20 of your regulations. Your regulation 21, we had just been talking about, the destroyed by natural causes. Again, that's basically what happened here. It was a legal pier that was, and then what your current regulation actually says is that they may be reconstructed, provided they meet the current regulations to the greatest extent practicable, as determined by the commission. So you guys have the authority to determine if Dr. Surgeon's little dock here is reasonable, if it's given all the conditions on it, that it is the exact language is the greatest extent practicable, as you determine it to be, within 3 years. And we're asking for that variance, and if, would appreciate you just, giving it some thought. You have the authority. I'm not saying you need to exercise it, but if you would like to, we sure would appreciate it. So again, it's unpermitted reconstructed, pier structure at this point. We did all the soundings, no eelgrass, no navigational channels. There's no shellfish relay areas. So in summary, the existing pier would require some variances. However, the original current pier with the current pier with proposed modifications, and again, what we're looking to do is put a nice 1-inch gap, narrow it up to the 4 feet, so it meets all the regulations except the height. It's the only one that would necessarily, wouldn't quite meet. And again, we'll look at that again. They're elevated, the concrete pad was removed. It's very significant, so there's going to be some growth under it. We've elevated a little bit. We can either do through-flow panels or that open gap at your discretion. And there's no disturbance anywhere because we're not doing anything other than the decking change. And so as the end of the narrative says, the commission at its discretion may waive one or more of these regulations when the proposed work will not adversely affect any areas subject to the protection of the regulations. That's your section 7. It would be our argument that there's no adverse effect to any area subject to the protection of the regulations, as the pier will remain in its current state, with the exception of the decking being replaced with either through flow panels or a larger gap. So again, the real long and short story is that, you know, the doctor has had this pier with a concrete ramp in this section for 30 years. He made the mistake of not asking your permission to put it up, but he thought he was doing the right thing, and it is so innocuous with over 200 feet of frontage. It's the only area of this little piece of salt marsh. It's better than it was, and he sure would appreciate your consideration of not having to have a monstrously high eyesore here. So that's what we'd leave it at, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you.
You said you provided Brittany a copy of the license.
Yes, the original license is recorded. I could
Do you have a copy of that, Joe?
do, yeah.
Oh, this Joe.
I asked Joe because I did not see it in our electronic files.
Beyond that, Ellie, any comments, questions?
I just want to commend you on that shellfish study. That was an amazing effort and document, and you know, after so many pages, it does come to the conclusion, as you said, after 30 years. I don't know what the statement was, but it was pretty significant that the presence of a pier and associated activities for nearly 30 years does not appear to have negatively impacted the shellfish habitat productivity within the sampled and surrounding areas. I was just really impressed with that, and actually impressed with your entire application. It was very comprehensive, and I understand some of the variance issues.
Yeah, it's, again, here's the old license, just so everybody can see. This book is recorded in the Registry of Deeds, 12066, page 138, and on the 141 there's the pier ramp and float. You got the 16 by 6 by 16, a 6 by 12, a 4 by 12, and then a ramp, and then you can see the 3 by 14 concrete pad over the salt marsh area. So
What is the expiration date on that license?
So that would expire, 30 years, would be 2029.
No, it's the date of when it was approved, not when it was recorded. So what is the date on the signature at the bottom?
Yeah, I just went within a year.
1999.
Yeah, this February 10th, 1999, so.
So
30 years would be 2029.
Was it, and it was recorded within the required time frame? Because that's it, if they're not recorded in time, they also expire, I believe.
Yeah, this is just an interim approval, 7700, approved by the DEP February 16th and recorded February 17th. So I would imagine that was met.
Interim approvals from Chapter 91 don't need to come through local permitting. However, they can't be renewed. And so in order to keep an active license, it does have to be renewed with Chapter 91 as well as meet the state and local standards.
100%, and that would be our intent.
Asking you to meet the local standards for
As
this,
waived.
which, as our chair has already said, I think we'd like to see some effort into meeting that regulation.
Also, that we need to have the documents not just be read off rather well by you, but you have a propensity for being able to provide a thorough presentation, and often we don't have the material in front of us, so that it really, you may be able to read it off, and rightfully so, but rightfully so, we also need to have that material in front of us.
Oh, 100%, yeah, I wouldn't expect you, I would be lost myself if I didn't have the packet. So I apologize that you don't have it in front of you, but perhaps the expectation was a quick forward, so that it wasn't provided in paper format. I know it's on Laserfiche because it's in there, but that's awkward to access during the meeting, so.
Do you know when it was on Laserfiche, by what time?
Oh, yeah, it's on
Past what
within a day
time?
of being filed, I'm sure.
Yeah, it would have been within a day of it being filed, so it's been there since October, mid-October, I'd say, probably.
Because I was in there and I couldn't find any of this. So that's
Yeah, I
just the
couldn't find
problem. The paths on those things are really tough to follow.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, it's a
layers on
substantial
layers.
packet.
Well,
Pat, do you have anything?
No, I just, again, the current regulations of what we've asked for everybody else coming towards us, so I can't see how we could do the variance on, at least on the height. It was very much considered important these days for the salt marsh. The floats are very nice floats. I saw your floats and,
That also doesn't meet the 3-foot minimum.
yes, and the depths.
The area is larger, so 3 variances.
There was a comment, I think, about the height of the float. Somehow, if it was higher, it would impact upon the shellfish area. Was that something I heard, or did I mishear that?
the only, I think you misheard. What I meant to say was that it would just be aesthetically shocking to see a big, high, ugly, I mean, not that they're that ugly, but it'll be a lot different looking from what's there now. It's where it hides in the winter. Now it's going to be a big 6-foot thing all winter, but.
Okay. All right, any comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
John Ungerland, Paul Jonathan Ungerland, 26 Aunt Dora's, a butter. Also mooring licensee in the, what I guess would be the waterway potentially impacted, and just deemed not to be impacted by waterways, which I would agree with as one of the mooring license holders in the area. I am also, I want to speak on Dr. Sarajan's behalf in a couple of important ways here. I am also the president of the Cape Cod Salties Sport Fishing Club, which is well known as a member of our community since 1959. Not just for being anglers, but being conservation-minded anglers who do lots of projects in our community. And Dr. Sarajan is a very active contributor to our club and certainly understands the importance of conservation and is involved in those projects, as a matter of fact, on a monthly basis and an annual basis, and gives great amounts of money to the operations of our club to serve the ecology and in our fisheries and our very fragile ecosystem here. I also get to speak momentarily to this commission, which, as previously noted, we are all taxpayers and you are volunteers, and I thank you for that. I think that you are also all humans. So I want to appeal to your humanity for a moment and your powers that you have as members of the commission to do something good in the community and right for your neighbors. I don't think, well, I'll just say, looking around the room, with the possible exception of a young man in the back, there is nobody who spends as much time on this body of water as I do in the community. I am on this body of water hundreds, if not thousands, of hours a year. I am also the deed owner to one of the properties who has deeded water rights to a town-owned parcel adjacent to the marsh in question. And I'm a neighbor to another parcel that your commission has taken action upon in recent years, which is the Melandry property. And so there's a couple of points that I want to make about this project. I am worried about ecological impacts from this project as somebody who frequently uses that waterfront and is at that marsh and at that beach. I am also worried about the ecological impacts of this project because of the boat ramp that the town maintains next to it, which I'll get to in a second. But I am actually very much in favor of this citizens project being left as is for the following reasons. I was the one who would personally walk around that waterfront benefiting an elderly neighbor and pick up the pieces of the styrofoam out of our fishery and off of that shoreline when it was decomposing. I say that because I wonder if, as volunteer bureaucrats, you hear stories all the time of people coming forward with all kinds of sob stories of why their stories should be heard. In this case, I want you to know it's entirely factual. This individual expended time and money to improve the marsh and the waterway and to deal with the composition of those floats, which, as you know, was putting microplastics and chemicals into the shellfish bed and polluting the waterfront. I personally helped the resident collect bags of garbage off of that waterfront in the 5 years before he made the replacement. Regarding the matter of the traversability of the waterfront, I think I've established that I'm an angler that uses the waterfront frequently. I would personally ask the committee not to elevate that ramp, and as would others in the community I know. because there are people who frequently traverse that fishable terrain right now. And actually, the other docks in your jurisdiction along that waterfront are more hazardous and frankly a pain in my ass as an angler to get around or under, because the property owners don't always maintenance the stairs and stuff that go along with your regulations. In this case, it's an easily traversable path at ground level, and the doctor has already cleaned up the area. Relative to your questions of the cement, the concrete, whether there was anything done there, I also want to testify on the doctor's behalf that he, when he did this project, with or without the commission's permission, and I understand you could take issue with that. By the way, I also worry, based upon the discussions tonight, that the commission will not have the ability to make an objective or rational decision on any matters that I might personally bring before it in the future. But, you know, relative to what's happened here, when he did this project, permission or no permission, he substantially improved that waterfront. He cleaned up debris. He removed broken pylons that had washed up from down the river. He removed pieces of the dock that had been there for years, as long as I've owned my property. He and his builder who fashioned the current installation already did significant improvement on this marsh and on this land in terms of removing debris that was actually laying on top of the salt marsh in question. And so they have already contributed to the flourishing of that marsh. And again, I'm saying this to you as a taxpayer and a citizen who spends hundreds of hours in that area. I would just ask the commission, how many of you have fished those waters recently? So I have seen that marshland come back substantially already as a result of the work that he has done. A couple of other important things worth your note for the commission. The Melandri project that I referenced, which you all made similar decisions to the ones that I fear, are about to make tonight. You made decisions that were in, I think you believed, good intention according to regulation, but they have unintended consequences when you don't exercise common sense with your power and authority that you have to do the right thing. In the Melandri project, you demanded that certain organic fill would be brought in and used, again, on the same premise. That's why I think it's pertinent to this conversation. You were concerned about growing and rebuilding the salt marsh along an adjacent area of this same waterfront in question, and you demanded that certain organic fill would be brought in and used for the salt marsh restoration in that area. What you didn't know is that your mandates actually negatively impacted the growth of the salt marsh at the Melandri site relative to the rest of the area, because the organic fill that was required came in and actually polluted the water. And for the last 2 years since the Melandri project, we haven't seen the same growth in the area that you oversaw relative to regulation versus what's happening elsewhere. Now, in this case, the work that he's done has already allowed the salt marsh to regrow better because he's removed the concrete, because he's taken the mitigation steps that he's already alleged. So there is a risk to doing things by the letter and not by common sense and looking at facts. So I would ask you to not deny his requests. I would ask you to not require him to do additional work on that waterfront. As an abutter and as somebody who has deeded rights to the adjacent lot, I would ask you to not require this resident to disturb that lot anymore. I would ask you to make a human decision with your authority and not cause further work and damage to that salt marsh, and let the marsh flourish as it already is in the past 2 years. Now, here's the human part. This gentleman complied with all of your commission's requests thus far, since he did come forward and try to do this by the book. As you already heard in his own testimony, he did not put his dock in the water this year. He did not put his boat in the water this year. So in compliance with your commission's seemingly capricious decisions, I would have to say, based upon some of the proceedings here earlier tonight, I lost a fishing buddy for a year. And if you look at the individual in front of you, that's, those years are coming at a premium now. So please,
Thank you for
please
your comment.
consider an appropriate action based upon the firsthand evidence I'm presenting here, and don't require this person to disturb the dock. There's one more matter. This area of the marsh and the shellfish bed is probably the healthiest area along that entire region of the pond. I'll tell you what the bigger problem is. If you're going to require him to modify this dock to meet your regulations, then the town would also have an obligation to expend its own funds to put a dock in of the same regulatory compliance at the boat ramp maintained in that same shellfish bed. Because right now, what you allow willingly from your seats is that the Fallens Pond boat ramp in the same area, everybody who launches in that area, which is a lot of people, they simply have to land their vessels on the shore. So in fact, the only area of that marsh that is not well maintained is the area at your boat ramp because you don't have your own complying dock. This gentleman is maintaining an area of the marsh and the shell bed and the waterfront that is probably the most flourishing area of the marsh and the waterfront along that entire north end of Fallens Pond.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it.
One final comment. My son is back here. He's going to be in Eagle Scout in our community someday. He happens to be working on his citizenship and the community merit badge right now. And he has a lot of questions for me about how it is that the commission can make decisions of this magnitude, and I'm being dead serious, of this magnitude and cost to citizens, bumbling the proceedings the way that we saw earlier. Thank you.
I would like to I'd like to reply to a lot of your comments, but I won't do that. Thank you for your input. We do our best to try to carry out our responsibilities year in and year out, so I appreciate your comments. I think that we need to move on. I think that the requirement is simply something that we all need to face, that there are regulations, there are rules, there are expectations in terms of building things along the waterfront, et cetera. And so those things need to be followed. Okay, so I would ask, is there anybody on Zoom who has a comment about this? Okay, seeing none. Joe, do you have any other things?
Just to add that we received DMF comment, and they pretty much fall in line with our regulations as well. They commented that the decking was too low and that the float does not have enough depth, besides their typical time of day requirements with high tide and everything. This also was in front of Waterways, and they had a motion to accept the plan. They did not have any concerns for navigation. They had a few concerns about shellfish, and that motion tied 2-2. So just to add that it's not just this commission that takes issue with the height and the depth.
Yeah, so again, there was a comment in my notes here about continuing this in order to get revised plans. That might be something that the commission would like to consider. Or we can act on a motion that you might have regarding this application.
I think from the applicant's perspective, one thing would love you to consider is that you've got one small pier on this property. Since, Moore Healy's decision that you can unmerge lots, he could put another house here which could ask for a compliant pier right by the boat ramp. Would hardly any salt marsh there, probably because the public tramples it, but we would absolutely agree to abstain any idea of selling that and putting in, having somebody else put a pier there, if you would grant the small waiver of having, just this ever so slight, just a slightly raised pier in an area where there was a licensed concrete pad. I mean, you've got exception after exception after exception on this particular lot where you could look at, if you grant a variance, what are the exceptional circumstances that apply only to this lot that don't apply to everyone else? You're not setting precedent. You look at each site uniquely anyway, but gosh, we're getting rid of a concrete pad. We're agreeing not to put in a second pier, and it's already there and it's been there for 30 years. And it really doesn't seem to be a big lift to allow it to stay, in that anybody else that comes forward, you can say, well, They had a potential for a second lot. They voluntarily agreed to never do anything with it unless they elevated this. And there was already a pier there. And, you know, it's, for the doctor to have to climb up extra stairs at his age, you know, I don't really know why would make him do that. But if there's any of you that would, or a majority that would vote in that direction, we'd appreciate it. And if not, well, either way, we'll take a continuance. But I don't know if there's anybody that could find it in their heart to, you know, leave it the way it is, and then would take a continuance and, you know, maybe do some minor modifications that you require. Any thoughts on that?
That might be appropriate.
Continue.
I just want to say there's two things. I think regulations are regulations. I followed regulations and specifications for 30 years. I understand that there's also such a thing as grandfathering, as you're well aware of, and why things can be grandfathered. I don't think we should blindly say you have to follow the regulations. Common sense, you got rid of all of that concrete, as you said. We can't lose sight of that. Again, it's like what this looks better than it did. And then if we adhere to the regulations, it's going to be more, I think it's going to be unsightly. It's going to be higher. I just think that common sense should prevail on this one, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't think we should blindly say, follow the regulations. You have to really consider what that's going to look like and the impact it's going to take, the impact to the landscape that it's going to take. And that's what we do. We protect the landscape. And right now, it's an in situ situation where it blends in with the landscape and there's no impact. And I think there's going to be more impact if we follow the regulations. It's not a bad-looking pier, and I have to take exception to the documents, all of the documents, and forgive me, but they were all available to us. We had to look online, but it's a very comprehensive application, and it's all online. We probably should have had hard copies, but I just want to say that shouldn't be your fault.
Well, you could make a motion approving the requested variances.
I move that we approve the requested variances.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Mean nay.
Nay.
All right, so it passes 3-2 as far as I'm concerned. The variances are.
We really sincerely appreciate your careful consideration of this, and we'll do a good job from here on out, and really, really appreciate the careful consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to thank, whoops, is that me?
Are we all set with that, Joe?
Not quite, because if we need to issue an order of conditions, then we need to vote on issuing an order of conditions with special conditions.
Okay, so we have to
So,
vote on the special conditions.
I would think so, yeah,
Okay,
rather than just accepting the variance, because that's
Okay,
a
all
separate. I guess we could have combined them, but it wasn't
how do
explicitly
we
stated.
define the special conditions?
Is there anything discussed? Oh, the DMF comments. So the typical restrictions that would go with the dock, such as working at high tide and storing floats.
And being that there's no work at all.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's
That's a fair
pretty, I think the one about the dock stored at Upland is fine, and any of them are fine because most of them don't apply. And again, would be happy to have a condition in there that no other piers be applied for on this property without reconsideration of the variances. If you'd like to put that in there, we're happy to live with that.
Okay.
I'm cool with that.
May I say something?
We need a motion to that effect? Joe?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Need a motion to,
I propose a revised motion to accept the variance, to approve the variances and include the conditions that are documented where? Are they documented somewhere?
The DMF comments, just incorporating the DMF.
Sort of the typical logistical requirements, et cetera, that I know you're familiar with.
And the plan has on it the 1-inch spacing, making it 4 foot wide. There's very little work to do, but we'll trim them up, space them right, and we'll do a good job. And we really appreciate your careful consideration. Thank you.
Point of order or something?
yeah, sure.
DMF is saying the decking is too low and the float's not enough depth. How does that, how do you figure that in? Or you're actually saying that they have to raise the dock and because that's what DMF
I
said.
think we have the ability to
Oh,
issue a
you're
variance.
using that
Right.
as the variance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are always just suggestions, not mandatory language.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, now we need a second of,
Yeah, we need a second
Second
for,
on that.
I'll second.
thank you.
okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I-
Nine.
All right, 3-2. Passes.
Yeah, okay.
May I say thank you very much, and thank you for letting common sense prevail.
We try.
I know, I wouldn't want your job.
Well, let me make a point
I'm
on,
on a lot of commissions myself and whatever, and it's not tough. You have to make tough decisions, but
my,
basically, every committee I've been on for the past, 20 years, sorry, Mr. Frost, is, we've always looked out for the residents' well-being, and we've bent over backwards to help them. And,
well, let me point out that my vote had nothing to do with what your decision it was, because I just didn't have enough information in front of me.
you know, no, I'm not, I don't hold it against any, I'm just thankful that common sense, because to build what you would need to build would have been environmentally really damaging, because that would have gone up, it would have gone up a hill, you would have destroyed a lot of land, you would have had to put pilings in the water, and I don't know, that shows a piling, I believe, but there's no plan to put a piling in there. So, I mean, I think it's a win-win situation for the environment.
I think we took all that into consideration. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll let you guys go home. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks, Steve.
I'll you guys later.
There you go. Let's see if we can muddle through a few more. Jesus Christ. All right. You have another pen there, Joyce?
Another pen? Yeah, it should be right in there.
Speaking of muddling, let me give you the green cards on that
Oh,
one.
thank you.
Okay, let's see, where are we? This one,
Should be the stormwater.
see if we can make this meeting just a little longer here. Let's see, yeah, request for certificate of compliance, SW 2021-002, Urological Associate of Cape Cod. Is that okay for a CLC? Joe, do you know?
Yeah, this should be fine. This was a stormwater permit. Everything seemed to be built basically according to plan, and we passed this on to engineering for their comments. Their only comments were that 2 of the drain covers said sewer, and they would prefer that it said drain, but I think it's okay to issue the COC still.
Okay, and can we combine the next one also with a vote? Is there an issue?
No,
I
because
don't know
that's a
that.
different, oh, I guess we, hold on.
Well, let's do that. Let's do the
Yeah.
first one. We have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for SW 2021-002.
I move that we approve the completion of the project subject to renaming those or switching the 2, what is that?
Yeah, I mean,
2 manholes.
Yeah, they're basically, the covers say the wrong thing on them, so you bring one cover over, pull one up, put it on, and it's
What do
very
they
easy to
say?
do. The owner has committed to doing that, so you've got my word, it'll be done. If you want to leave the condition on, you can, but it is important for financial reasons at end of year that we get this thing closed out, so
Okay.
you got my commitment, it'll be done.
That's fine.
And there are ongoing conditions as well for that.
Yes.
So I move with that commitment.
Okay. Is that seconded? Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Yeah,
Aye.
Okay. Next one is SE 83-1161, Jian Song, 232 Blue Rock Road. What about this one, Joe?
So this one, there are some minor variances to the floats, but the NOI that we'll be addressing next is meant to permit those changes. So I think it's okay to issue the COC, and we'll just take care of any variances, or, excuse me, differences in the NOI.
So we can approve
can
that
appro-
and move
I
on to
would
the
recommend
next.
that, yeah.
Okay. All right, anybody make a motion to approve SE 83-1161?
So moved.
So moved, second?
Second.
Second from Pat. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to notice of intent, SC 83-2505, Down Cape Engineering for Jian Song, 232 Blue Rock Road. After the fact filing for a seawall and proposed float reconfiguration on an approved dock within coastal bank, coastal beach, land under the ocean, land containing shellfish, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. Dan?
Good evening, Chair, members of the commission. For the record, Dan Ojala, land surveyor and civil engineer with Down Cape Engineering in Yarmouthport. And here, we're at 232 Blue Rock Road with some minor modifications and kind of cleaning up some past sins of former owners. It's fairly minor in nature, we feel. We met with Waterways. They were comfortable. They did ask that we pull the float in to match the existing one. So if you're so kind as to approve, we'll give you a revised plan showing that, or we could continue if you need to. But you can see how that there were two floats that are longer. We're replacing it with one float that's compliant, but we're simply going to pull it in so it matches the exact distance off the channel as the existing one. It would have already been the same. So no closer, but what didn't seem to me to be a big deal to just pull that in, the 2 foot that they requested. So that was the change that Waterways had. If they got their comments over, it probably reflects that. And other than that, there was not this owner, but a former owner had put a small bulkhead in. A lot of times in these areas, you get a little bit of erosion on the bottom of the slope, and it's scary, and the owner does an emergency repair or something and forgot to ask, but it's like a landscape tie wall to protect the toe of the bank. The current owner realized the dock configuration didn't match his license perfectly. It's the old license, it is licensed and permitted, but it was in '92, it was, the fixed dock was okay. It was a 6x16 for that at that time. When he purchased last year, it was one 5x12 and one 6x12 and one 6x16 float on 3 pilings, and he had installed that little wall to protect the bank. So we couldn't find a license for the wall. That does nick the high water just above the toe of the wall, and so we're looking to license the existing configuration with the float modifications, as well as that little toe of the wall to rectify the discrepancies constructed under the previous ownership. We filed an RDA to permit but the filing was withdrawn with no decision rendered. I think you wanted a notice on it just so you could condition it. I would be speculating on that, but that's what I think. Resource areas are riverfront. We're, obviously on the Bass River, salt marsh, coastal beach, coastal bank, land subject containing shellfish, land under the ocean, fish run, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. So we got the full gambit. Shellfish survey was conducted by John Lowell, the East Dennis Oyster Company, and attached that. Again, it's almost identical to what's there now, just a lot smaller, so wouldn't be many complaints, I don't think. Decking would be non-CCA treated and have 1-inch spaces in accordance with your current regulation. With the coastal beach and the salt marsh and the riverfront, we feel that it's the effects and the narrative there are pretty de minimis. Again, you're going to have 6 feet above the salt marsh at the next maintenance. We can certainly raise that up, and that's on the plan. Signs currently exist near the mean high water mark for the lateral access, and by using the existing steps, they can easily access up and over at mean high water. Coastal Bank, again, the toe of the wall is supported by that landscape tall wall, and we're looking to formally permit the wall to help stabilize that bank. It was installed prior to the ownership. Presence does not appear to negatively impact the stability of the bank. In fact, it probably helps it quite a bit. The smaller storms which lap at the toe, once you undermine the toe, down she slides, trees and all. So I think it's a good thing to have that there at this point. Looking at the narrative, we go through land containing shellfish, the fish run and land under ocean. That would mostly relate to the float, so we're talking about that. But again, temporary impacts only. You got 2 foot wider, but it's a lot smaller. And you're less than that 2 feet as well, so it's no further out. And then John Lowell with the Shellfish Survey looked at it, and he found healthy shellfish population, differing sizes from seed to quahog size, and healthy shellfish habitat, no eelgrass. And again, it's basically there already, just rearranging it, making it a little bit smaller than what's been there for many, many years. Under the regulations, I won't go through every single one, but let's just roughly go through quickly. Again, the 1-inch permanent sign required, the open 1-inch planking, maximum 4 foot at the time of the next maintenance. We're happy to have that be a condition. Elimination of moorings, none of those. Distance to the channel exceeds 100 feet. I think some boats come a little closer to this than the marked channel, so we're happy to put the float at the existing outer position, just in case. No salt marsh impacted. Navigation is okay. It's not used for swimming. The pier and floats are roughly centered on this one, so that meets the regulation. If we do lights, they'd be directed downward and avoid disturbing neighbors. We're at 75 feet from mean high water. That's under your 80. Water depth is 3.1, which exceeds CZM's 2.5, so we're good on that, and meets the 3-foot requirement under the Yarmouth bylaw. And I think moving it in 2 feet will be right on the number. I think that's okay. Existing float is 85 foot from the northerly float. Proposed is 95. With the existing and proposed 55 foot to the abutting southerly float, this is a variance, but again, the hardship exists due to the small amount of water frontage of those neighboring lots and our lot. There's no navigational issues to abutters. The access to the channel is straight shot perpendicular to the float, and navigable channel is 155 from the float. This is the 12A, B, C, D, and E. The new float will be 41 foot to the northerly property line extension, 24 to the south, so that's just a 1 foot variance. And again, it's no closer than what's been there for at least 17 years, so we feel that that's able to be granted without concern. We're at 200 square foot, which meets local regulations and reduces what's there by 28 square foot. The narrative goes through some other things: no jet ski, no expansion, no CCA except the timbers. Piles, rather. Again, soundings were performed. You can see we've got an extensive amount of depth data on there, NAVD 88 datum. So in summary, requires 2 minor local variances under your regulations, a 1 foot variance to the 25 foot to the lot line extension. The current float's been at that offset for 17 years and has no deleterious effects. I feel that could be granted. The second requested variance is a setback to the southerly abutting float from the required 75 to 55. And again, this is just required due to the small length of water frontage for the lots, and it existed since at least 2007. It's a small amount of boating activity, has not been impacted from this reduction, so we feel that would be reasonable to grant, to leave it in its current configuration. Just a reminder, the Commission may, at its discretion, waive one or more of these regulations when the proposed work will not adversely affect any area subject to the protection of these regulations. That's your Section 7, and it would be our position that there would be no adverse effects to the area subject to the protection of these regulations. That's mostly related to, boat movement out, way out near the end of the pier, and waterways was comfortable. We put a brief construction protocol in there that, mainly pier maintenance in the future, replacement of piling and decking materials occur from a barge, higher tide conditions, so it won't ground out. Material stockpiled in the owner's yard or on the barge. Any work would be subject to your regulations at the time of the filing. We would have to do a filing for that. And you can see John Lowell's found some cohogs out there, and you've got his resume and some photographs. Again, you're looking at that, landscape timber wall there that holds the tow. The neighbor looks like they have a vertical vinyl sheet pile wall, so there's some differences of construction in the area. But again, they're long predating our owner and would simply like to license it. We paid an after-the-fact filing fee, which was noted for that. And we do apologize for the old owner not having done it, but we're trying to clean up the permitting on it. And again, there's your idyllic waterway there with the conservation land on the other side, which is rather nice. Be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Okay, Commission, any questions? Ellie?
The wall, what is that wall next door? What is that?
Vertical vinyl sheet pile, looks like.
Was that installed after?
Yeah, that would have been a more recent product, I think. I don't know the specific dates, but let me see if we have the license number on here. No, there's a nail in the seawall there at 5.5, but I didn't find the license. I didn't look either though.
So, are we, part of this is the wall, the drawing says existing landscape tie retaining wall to be licensed, that in this submittal, right?
Yeah, so basically what this is that he doesn't have a Chapter 91 license for that wall, so if you folks are kind enough to approve what's there, we won't change anything, but we'll just draw it on the Mylar plan and submit it to the state for the Chapter 91 license.
Okay, with the stability of that wall, it looks like it's in pretty rough shape. Is it just because it's old and weathered and?
Yeah, it's, I didn't do a thorough structural analysis on it, but, if something happens to it, we'll address it at that time. It's fairly disruptive to go ripping out a wall and redoing it, so, it eventually, would probably, build a new one and retreat a little bit is what we usually do with these. But for now, we'd just like to license what's there. And
What impact does the mean, when you mentioned that the mean, the mean high water is impacting the tow, what did you mean by that?
that's just a trigger for the requirement to file with the Chapter 91 state. So, maybe when this was put in, there was a little more beach there and it's eroded, but now and I would be speculating, but sometimes that happens. As soon as the mean high, and it's actually spring high, which is a few inches higher, touches the wall, it needs a license because the land underneath it is owned by you and I as the state. So you need a license from the governor actually signs it to allow it to remain there. So it's a bit of permitting process, but again, it's been there for many, many years, and to the extent that it's going to hold up for a few more anyway, would like to get it licensed, and then if we ever do have to do it, you'll have another bite at the apple to talk about maybe using an inert substance rather than landscape timbers.
Okay, anyone else?
Well, I don't have any of the paper on this either, so I'm not going to vote.
Okay.
No problem with it.
Okay, Bradford, you all set?
Yeah.
Okay, Joe?
Let's see. Yeah, Waterways was okay with it also. They, as Dan already said, they just didn't want it moved any further seaward. DMF had their typical comments. I assume the piles are getting, they're being repositioned, or Dan? Or they
Yeah,
being,
reset, because they would be sticking out in the middle of nowhere like an outhaul pile, so we're going to remove and relocate that outer pile.
Right, and those won't be cut, they'll be fully pulled out of the substrate, right?
Yeah, 100%. We'll get that out 100%, and you'd be happy to live with a condition on that. And then, would put the 12-inch diameter piling for the new float attachment as shown.
Yeah, so I'd recommend issuing the order of conditions. including the DMF comments as conditions. It would also, as Ellie said, that erosion behind the wall is a bit much. Might be good to have a condition for some sort of erosion remedy, even if it's, yeah, before it gets worse, yeah.
I don't know what that would be.
Yeah.
Okay. There isn't anybody in the audience, I don't think. Anybody on Zoom? Okay, so we have a motion regarding this application.
I move to accept, accept the project.
Issue an order of conditions?
Issuing, thank you. Issuing an order of conditions with special conditions.
Okay.
But add the requirement for erosion, because that's not in a condition right now.
We
right?
could, you're right, that's not included. So we can kind of leave that open-ended as something we could figure out
Maybe we need
afterwards.
some geotextile fabric and a little bit of sand behind the wall, or is that what you're thinking, or?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Brittany may have had some more specific remedies in mind, because I know she added that note, so we can, but if you're okay with adding that as a condition, we can work out the details before we issue the
Yeah,
order
keep
to you.
keep it generic, we'll do whatever you'd like
Okay.
on that, and it's obviously in the owner's best interest to mend the fence, yep.
Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Who seconded that, by the way?
I don't know.
Second?
Thank you.
We have. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to, yeah, we need to,
I moved, Ellie seconded.
So we just need to
all in
vote.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Non-voting.
Jack abstained.
Oh, thank you.
Got that?
Hey, can we have some new construction next?
I'm passing down this, this is 125, 133. And also this one. Thank you, Dan.
Clear for takeoff. Thank you, folks, very much for your careful consideration, and sorry for some of the language tonight. We really respect what you do, and I wouldn't want to do it. Thank you.
Digging himself a hole.
That's
for
the
the help.
COC for 125, 133. This is
It's a
the,
Blue Rock Road, 232, but first one?
this.
There
what
should be
is-
two with 232, the COC and the NOI.
So you guys need to sign this page.
That was that
That's
the
for the
continuance?
order.
Or
This one doesn't have
the,
a,
what's that?
Or
That's
the order of
Chilton.
Chilton. Chilton got continued, so we're good on that.
yeah, that's over here.
Okay, Paul, you have to sign, did I? Order of conditions?
Just this one.
I was mad at
Can't tell.
Oh, this must
Uh,
be the,
It's, I have a weird pen today. It says Ellie.
That's the year electrical.
yeah, the one on 6A, the big,
This is
doctor's
the
offices.
COC. This is the COC. So
Hey, what do we have, one more?
Oh, okay, we're way back.
One more, just a plan revision.
Behind. Let me have.
I lost my, it's not yours. Ellie, this is yours.
Sorry.
Okay, last thing, 63 Thatcher Shore Road, request for a revised plan.
This is what?
DOA issued a
one's the
2022
COC.
required swales alongside a gravel driveway. No swales were implemented, no adverse impact observed.
Okay.
So what are we doing here?
You just have to vote on whether or not you want to approve this change to the subdivision and the lack of swales. There was a meeting on site with the town engineer and planner, and no adverse effects were seen, so
Okay.
recommend
That's
approving.
right.
Yeah, I'm not
See
sure
what?
everybody got
You
that,
told me.
so-
Yeah, I can,
It's okay.
I'll give Jack a second.
Wait a second.
You know, that was just memory.
Okay, we have one other. It's 63 Thatcher. Joe just gave us some information, but I'm not sure you all heard it.
Oh, we did.
I'll give
move
Pat a
on.
second.
We were not. We were still
Everybody
signing
liked
things because it was confusing.
All right, so this is 63 Thatcher Shore Road. DOA issued in 2022 required swales alongside a gravel driveway. no swales were implemented, no adverse impact observed. So I guess the direction is to,
Yeah, the recommendation is to approve the plan because the engineer and the planner on site didn't see any adverse effects, so you just have to vote on whether or not to approve the modification.
okay, motion to approve the modifications?
Modification being
A lack of swales.
no swales.
Yeah.
But it seems they weren't necessary.
So that's a base, essentially Brittany going out and seeing it?
I'm not 100% sure Brittany was on there or if she just spoke with the engineer, but I know someone from the town was out there and didn't see any adverse effects.
Engineer and planner. Okay, I move that, what is it called?
To approve the modification.
Proposed upgrading of existing, yes.
Yeah, I motion to approve the modification that actually approves the omission of the swales.
Yeah.
Because they were not deemed necessary by the town engineer and the town planner from their on-site visit.
Good motion. Second? Anyone
Are
want to
you
second it?
seconding or are
You can.
I'm
you can't?
asking
Oh,
for a
okay.
second.
I'll second. You can also second.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Where's the signature?
I guess there's no signature on this, Joe, right?
Which one?
That one we just did.
Yeah, we don't have a signature for
Okay.
that.
Keep it here. All right. Thank you. And other business approval of meeting minutes, 11/6/2025, 11/20/2025. I can't vote on 11/6.
And neither
Neither
could
can I,
Bradford.
so we don't have a quorum for that.
Okay, so how about 11/20?
I think everybody was here for 11:20, so
Yeah, I'll
You'll make a motion
I'll
to
make a motion.
to approve.
to approve.
I'll copy what you tell me.
I'll second that one.
There you go.
I'll second what he did.
All in favor of,
Aye.
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 okay. Any opposed? No?
I did
Okay,
read it,
then, there's one meeting in January, it says here.
Yes, because the first Thursday falls on New Year's, so we're just canceling that one like we did with
Okay,
the
so
June
for
holiday.
January 15th. Any other business not reasonably anticipated? I guess not. You folks have to endure one more meeting with me as the chair. Okay. Get ready.
We do need a motion to adjourn.
Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Bradford.
1 second.
Someone second, quick.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.